y'all, Bridget Chandler here at Athens State University, and this video is particular to CE 520. I wanted to talk for just a few minutes about assignment 4. As we're going through the assignments, you remember that these assignments for this course, for curriculum development course and aligning career and technical curricula, they build upon one another to create a more solid or complete curriculum for a particular topic, subject, program area, whatever that is that you're in. So you have to identify what it is you're going to be teaching and training, and then work through the process, which has been very challenging in a good way for me. I was just talking to some of my colleagues in the hall about how we do curriculum development. We develop courses, we teach, so often, and it becomes something that you just do, that you forget how to explain and really go into detail to others who may not practice this all the time. And this is true no matter what it is that you do. If you teach auto mechanics, see, I can't even talk. You probably forgot how you learned how to check the oil in the car, like, you know, those steps that were involved, because that's something that it's innate. It's part of who you are. I mean, it's something you don't even think about anymore. Not that I'm that great at curriculum development, but it's just part of what I do on a regular basis. So I'm having to really, I call it gear down when I talk about how to teach people to do something else, and think about what are these steps, how do I come about it. So in the course, in CE 520, I've gone back and thought about, and I'm trying to work through that process as I explained to you about how I developed this course. Like, where did it come from? Well, the course description was submitted back many moons ago in relation to the university goals for the graduate program, and in relation to the other courses that make up the master's degree in career and technical education. So we had to work from that course description, and then from the course description we came up with what are the overall outcomes. I was thinking through what will someone who completes this course, the learner, what should you be able to do out in the workforce, like not in the classroom, because yes, you are doing it in the classroom, but what is the overall goal? Like, what are you going to do once you have completed this course? And that's where those learning outcomes and goals for this course came from. So you kind of have to think, when you're thinking about learning goals and learning outcomes, we're talking broad, and we're not talking about specific parts, because the other parts, the objectives and the assignments, are going to be built in to make sure that you reach those goals and outcomes. Okay, so assignment 4, I'm jumping around. Hopefully you can just hang with me. All right, so remember, all these assignments have built upon one another. And so you've identified a course, you have a kind of a description of what you're doing. You've got your curriculum development process analysis that you've completed. Your content standards, where do you get those from? Your task analysis, what does that look like? And now we're talking about goals, outcomes, and objectives for your course or your unit of instruction. Your quick and easy directions are to develop the key learning goals and or outcomes for your course and the associated learning objectives. And then a little bit of narrative there. So in Blackboard, I'm going through, and I've broken that down into basically 5 steps of things that you'll complete. And I've created a template table for you to use if you so choose to do that. You do not have to, but it also kind of serves as your rubric for the course. But you can fill that in and submit that for assignment 4. Completely up to you. If you don't want to use that format, that's fine. But anyway, so breaking that down and as to what you're doing is you're going to develop key learning goals and or outcomes for your course. That's 25 points. List the learning objectives necessary to lead to the learning goals. So what objectives should a person meet in order to get to that learning goal? And I'll talk more about that in just a minute. And then for each of those objectives, write a brief, very brief, justification for the objective that it identifies the audience. So who are the learners? The behaviors, what do they need to be able to do? The conditions, do they need to have access to certain things? Do they need prior knowledge? Is this something foundational? and the degree of performance. So like how well do they need to be able to do this for each of those objectives, and that's worth 20 points. Then identify the domains and levels of understanding that lie within the objective. So is this from the cognitive domain? What level is this that they have to assimilate information? Do they create new knowledge, or can they just list, identify? So you're going to use like Bloom's Taxonomy should be a resource for you here, and I will have those in the module folder for you. But your Bloom's Taxonomy will help with knowing to what level that they should be able to perform this. And Bloom's Taxonomy is, to me, it's like a staircase. Your first steps of knowledge attainment, and you move up the staircase until the point where you're at the peak of your understanding and learning, which is to be able to evaluate the learning that has occurred. Self-evaluation is a high level of learning. Be able to teach that to another person is another high level of learning. To assimilate other information with that. So that's your kind of high end, and then your lower end is to identify, to know that something exists, just a knowledge base, to be able to list, to be able to define certain terms, so like terminology and things, which may be necessary in what you're teaching. So it's not that one is better than the other, it's just you need to know what it is that, to what level your learner needs to learn to complete these goals and objectives. So you're starting with big goals. You're looking out, like, from the course description, big goals. Then you're breaking this down from these large goals into how will they attain those goals, and how do you even know what those goals are? Well, that's up to you as the expert and as the teacher of whatever it is that you're teaching. Then you're the expert, and you decide what it is for this course and how it fits into the bigger structure of what you want the learner to obtain, what outcome, what goal you have for them. Okay, and then finally, fifth part is to relate each of those outcomes and objectives directly to the appropriate standards. Okay, so there's been a little bit back and forth about standards. You can use your national standards. You may even have to, and I know this is going back and forth, like that's assignment 2 and here we are on assignment 4, but curriculum development is a very fluid process. It's not stagnant. Like, you can't really just develop each little part without it affecting the others, because it will evolve, it will grow, it's dynamic, and I think you can see in this course even, and probably other courses, but this being a brand new course that you're in the first semester of it, the same thing, that it is as questions come in, that causes me to rethink who the learners are, so there's a lot of adjustment that is necessary in curriculum development when you're developing a new course or a new program or a new learning unit, and so that's to be expected. But anyway, so where do you get these standards? It could be from your industry, the standards that your industry has established. It could be from a national organization, or it could be your own local company, or it could be a combination of those types of things, like something from very specific to very broad, like as far as it being more of a national process, or maybe very localized. But you're the one who has to set those out. So you have to know where they are, which directs the instruction and directs the learning for the participants. Okay, so those are the 5 things that you're going to submit, and what that would look like. And again, I'm providing you with a table just as an example that you can use to fill in if you would like. So my notes are given for you here, and I've typed this stuff out, but I just want to stress to you that you're building a complete curriculum from whatever you've identified, a course or a learning unit, and that each assignment builds on each other, and that they all should relate. And so when the number 5 says to relate each of the outcomes and objectives directly to those standards, because you should be able to take a step back when you're looking at a curriculum and see the connections. It should make sense that why you're doing something, how's that leading back around? So it shouldn't be such isolated activities that are going on, or assignments whenever you're teaching, that there's no relation to the bigger picture. So that's why it's important to always kind of make that connection, so that and your learner knows why they're doing what they're doing. And sometimes you just have to stop and say, this is why we're doing this. This is how this all fits in. But again, you can choose the format of however you would like to submit your assignment, but I am providing you with a table. And then I just pulled up the learning goals for this course as an example. And as to know, like, what should or could learning goals look like. And so I inserted those for you to review. And that's the learning outcomes and learning goals for this course. And remember that you're thinking about what would a person who has completed this course, who's out in the business, out in the workplace, not in the classroom necessarily, because the classroom stuff is more the assignments and the objectives, but after you're complete. So goals, the outcomes for this course, when you're finished with the course, you can design a curriculum framework. Check, we're doing that right now. But you see all the different tasks and all the different assignments and discussions that are building up to that. The next learning goal is to summarize program learning goals as they relate to student-centered success and career placement. So going back to the workplace. So all of this is what we're talking about, but you're going to be able to, when you're out in the workplace, you should be able to summarize learning goals and explain, like I'm trying to explain right now, how this is bring success to the learner, how they're able to hopefully do something, produce something, know something out in the workforce after they've completed the course. Third one, interpret and reconstruct vertical alignment of secondary and post-secondary career and technical programs. So we haven't gotten into that just yet with all the assignments we've been doing, but it is so important that we know that students, learners articulate through the learning process. It's like everyone has been through second grade. We know that, right? So whatever you're going to learn in third grade, the teacher needs to know what you did in second grade and what you knew in first grade. The second grade teacher can't plan to teach second grade if she doesn't know what the children, the students are going to learn in third grade and what they learned in first grade. So there's got to be some articulation and alignment, vertical alignment of the curriculum. So just being aware of that too. Evaluate given curriculum from business and industry standpoint. So we've already talked about that some. Like when you can find some curriculum and you can evaluate and use it based on some of the models from the text to see what works in your particular industry. And you'll be able to evaluate if it's a learning or training module, if it will work in your workplace. And then explain the connections among secondary and post-secondary programs, industry standards, how the programs, the industry standards, the course structure, and the learning events, so like activities and assignments, and student achievement and student success in the workplace. So all those, how they're connected. So again, looking at big picture, those are the learning outcomes for this course, and I hope that you see how these activities and assignments are building to that, which is what you're doing in curriculum development. Okay. I was talking really fast. I hope you got it all. You can watch this video as many times as you need to. And I'm also, as I'm setting up this assignment, I'm going to make where you can submit multiple attempts, because I've had a few people who say, oh my goodness, I turned this in, but now I think I'm going to turn this in because it makes more sense now. Again, to me, that is very normal, very standard part of curriculum development. So I'm going back and changing the assignments to be multiple attempts so that if you need to resubmit something, please go right on and do it. But let me know. Let me know if it's been assessed already and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I did that completely wrong. I want to submit again. Let me know that. And if it hasn't been assessed, then I will assess the last submission. All right, I think that's it. Y'all have a great afternoon. Thank you.